Are you ready to transform your health through the power of movement? Get ready to be inspired, motivated, and empowered to take charge of your well-being. I'm Ros Lindsay, your host of the Wellness Nurse podcast, and this is the Move and Thrive series, where we explore how physical activity can transform our lives. Did you know that 67%, two-thirds of Australian adults are overweight or obese, and nearly half don't meet the recommended physical activity guidelines? It is time to change that narrative. The Australian guidelines recommend 150 to 300 minutes of moderate intensity physical activity or 75 to 150 minutes of vigorous intensive physical activity per week for adults. Throughout this series, I will show you just how achievable and enjoyable it can be to meet those guidelines. In this series, we're diving into inspiring stories of everyday Australians who've discovered their passion for movement. From paddleboarding to group personal training, swimming to pickleball, we are exploring a world of activities that will get you excited about moving more. Whether you're a busy professional, a parent juggling multiple responsibilities, or someone who's just been putting exercise off for years, this series is for you. We'll address common challenges, share practical tips, and provide the motivation you need to get moving. So, are you ready to move and thrive? Let's dive into today's episode and discover how movement can be the key to unlocking your potential for a healthier, happier life. I'd like to introduce you to Alex Gourlay. He's my cousin. He is a lifelong swimmer, and so I've reached out to him and just want to get a little bit of an idea about what he loves about swimming so much and what keeps him doing it, because he's been doing it for a long time. So, Alex, tell us about how long you've been swimming and what you love about it.
Well, I do love swimming. It's a passion, and it's something that I can't do without in my life. It's just a necessity, and because it makes me feel so good. I started swimming early. Mum and Dad sort of threw me in to the pool with floaties, but then they built a pool when I was about 7 in the backyard, and summertimes was just swimming and friends, and of course I was everybody's best friend in summertime because not everybody had a backyard pool like they do these days, and yeah, I was just in the pool and swimming and swimming and swimming, and it was just something I think that maybe just was instilled in me, and then I got pretty good at it, and we had a couple of guys down the road, and he became a state level swimmer, and so I used to compete with him in the pool. He was a bit of a gun swimmer for his age, and so it challenged me. I got a bit of a competitive streak with it as well. But look, I just feel so good after I go and have a swim. I usually swim about 10 kilometres a week, so I do a 2 kilometre session 5 days a week. And I'm lucky that I can fit that in these days I'm working more sort of part-time, and as you know, I'm looking after my dad who's 99. I've got, kids off my hands and no mortgage and whatnot, so it's pretty easy for me to fit that in these days. That's really, I think, how I develop my passion. It's a constant thing, and as I said, it just makes me feel so good.
So what does a regular week look like for you in terms of your swimming routine?
Well, my routine, I get up in the morning and I've got to prepare some meals and things for my dad and get him organised, and obviously myself. So I head down to the pool anywhere between about 11 and 1 during the day, so the middle of the day, and I pick up my lunchtime crowd there. So I've got my regular buddies that are down there, so there's a bit of social interaction as well, which is very, very good as well. And I get that. That's when I get my session in. I mean, it's an amazing activity. Anybody at any level of fitness can do it, and the key is to just turn up and get in the water and have a crack at it. And you can be a bit overweight, or you can be skinny, or you can be any shape, any level of fitness, and you'll get a lot of benefit out of it. So I meet up with my mates there, and we have a bit of a chat and and then we jump in and we do a session. And for me, it's anywhere between 2 kilometres and 5 kilometres. Just
how long does that take?
Look, I'm swimming when I'm I've actually got a bit of a shoulder injury at the moment, but when I'm swimming well and I'm fit, I can do it in about 35 minutes in the pool. That's the 2K, and the 5K will take me about an hour and 20, about 80 minutes. But you're more pacing yourself because it's an endurance. But look, the benefits for me mentally is unbelievable. And I go during the winter, rain, hail or shine. It's just something that I do. And, you know, there's those winter days where the rain's coming down and there's wind and it's cold and the fire's on at home. And I just say, no, I'm going. Or I don't feel like it. I might be a bit cloudy in the mind and whatever. I just don't feel like going. But I'll get up and I'll go. And honestly, some of those days are the best swims I ever have. And I come out of there, everything's clear again. It's like pushing a delete button on all your problems and all your stress and whatever it might be. It's scientifically proven fact that exercise is very, very, very good for your mental health. So I get a lot of benefit from it. And then also too, being down there and outside and breathing the fresh air. And getting a bit of sunshine, a bit of vitamin D is very, very good, you know. And also too socially, you know, got my buddies down there. Most of them are my age, but there's a few other people. But there's a whole lot of different people from all walks of life. Just overall well-being and feeling good about yourself and good about life.
You mentioned when it's warm inside and raining outside. What's the conversation that you have with yourself that gets you out the door?
Well, initially it was hard, but because I've been doing it for so many years, I just know the benefits of pushing yourself that little bit further and just making the effort and go and do it. The pools are all heated now, so it's the hardest part's getting from the change room to into the water. Once you get into the water, it's better in the water than out. I just know from experience how much it's going to benefit me in such a positive way that I go and do it. I don't need to reason anymore. I just say, no, I've got to go and get it done, and I'll get it done.
Yeah.
And I feel great.
That's it. No matter what sport people do, there's some days when you feel like going and there's other days that you don't feel like going. And often I will say, because I've taken up yoga in the last year, and I always do it after pickleball because I think it's good to stretch my muscles. And so I do a session of yoga just at home. But some days I've got a lot to do or I just don't feel like doing it. But in my mind, I go, well, this is what I do. I do yoga after I do pickleball. So it's not negotiable. And it just actually makes it easier.
That's the way to go. That's about the same way as I think of it too. Just it's a non-negotiable. Just, you know, I mean, as I said, look, you know, a lot of people have young children and busy lives, and it is harder when you're at that stage of your life to fit it in. But even, you know, even if you do it 3 times a week, and people say, oh, I can't find the time, but they can if they took out something, you know, if they took out maybe an hour of YouTube or scrolling on Facebook or something like that and use that time to go and do an activity, some sort of exercise, you know, you can find it. You can find the time. But that's right. It's a non-negotiable. I just know how good I feel after it.
Yeah. You mentioned you've got a bit of a shoulder injury at the moment. What's your strategy for getting back into swimming? How long have you had off and what's your plan?
I've stopped for about 2 weeks now. I'm just going with what my body's telling me. And that's what I should have done right from the word go. But yeah, just listen to my body and it's starting to feel pretty good actually. As you know, you've sponsored me for my Coal Classic. You've got that muscle memory and the years of training. It comes back pretty quickly. So we'll see how we go. It mightn't be my best time this year, but I've raised more money this year for charity than I have ever done.
Oh, congratulations.
So
tell us
good.
about the Coal Classic, because that's not in the swimming pool, is it?
No. So that's ocean swimming. And the Coal Classics, they call it the world's largest ocean swim now. So they have about 4,000 participants. Yeah, they cut it off at 4,000 because they just can't manage any more people. So it's been at Manly for nearly 10 years now, or might be longer. They've got a 1K, a 2K and a 5K swim. And I do the 2K because I'm more sort of a middle distance sort of person. That's where I sort of excel. Yeah, 4,000 people, great day on the beach. They have some jazz bands. It's a great vibe down there at Manly. You know, we have a feed.
Fantastic.
And I'm doing it with a
Fantastic.
bunch of young guys this year. I'm doing it with my son Angus, who's 26, and 4 of his buddies. So I'm hoping that I can whip all their times.
Yes, go Alex. So
We'll
tell me,
see
does
what the
that
old fella can do.
all the best? Having a goal like that, does that serve as a motivator for you throughout the year
Very
because you're
much so.
pushing yourself towards a goal? Yeah,
Yes. Yeah.
yeah.
So that is it. That's for me. It's what I call the end goal. So obviously there's a lot of smaller goals throughout the year, but then the Coal Classics, where I want to see my time and be in peak fitness and swim a good race. So that's the end goal, and that keeps me going. And then I just have all the other little bits of training that keep me going throughout the year. I think for me it works to have that, just to have that goal at the end of the year. That's where I'm going. That's what I'm aiming for. Can I better my time from last year? You know, can I better my position? You
Yeah,
know, can
I
I?
love that.
Yeah,
Because there's a bit of a belief that as we get older, we're able to do less. But you're actually saying with every year, you're pushing yourself to better your time. So,
yeah. But I mean,
mm,
you know, that's in my age group. My age groups are they do it in a 10-year age group. So mine at the moment's 50 to 59. So our
mm,
times do differ quite considerably from the young elite swimmers, I can say, and that's just the physiology of getting older. And
mm,
but just keep moving, keep active, do stuff.
mm,
You know,
yeah, yeah,
otherwise you just, and you know, so many people don't get it. It's not a hard thing. It's so simple. It's the same with nutrition. People don't understand it. I say eat from the earth, sleep well, exercise regularly, have some human connection, and laugh a lot. Most of the time I do eat very good food, but last week I felt like McDonald's. So I went and had some McDonald's. You know, and I love Tim Tams, and I love ice cream. So occasionally I will have it, but yeah,
I
just
think,
eating well
yeah,
and exercising and having relationships with other people, having a community thing.
you've just nailed it. You've actually just listed off the pillars of wellness. We really want to encourage people to get it, to do it. And that's my dream. My
Great.
heart is that Australians will become the healthiest people in the world. And actually, it's achievable. We're seventh at the moment. You know, I mean, it's not a high bar. I think there's a lot of unhealthy people in the world, but
Yeah.
we can move it up. And so that's what this podcast is all about. It's about informing people, inspiring people to have a go, find an exercise they love. You love swimming, and that's what's kept you going. All
Okay.
right, I've got
Thanks.
another question for you. So it's possible to view swimming as an individual activity. You know, you've got your face down for a lot of the time and you're in your own thoughts. But I
Yep.
imagine there is a lot of opportunity to build connection, and you have referred to that as something that keeps you coming back and you enjoy meeting up with your buddies.
Yep.
What has that meant for you over the years, having that connection with others and building a community just amongst people who are like-minded and love doing the
Yeah.
same thing?
Yeah, well, that's the thing. We're all like-minded. And not all of us are great swimmers or whatever. That doesn't matter. It's a thing that we just get together. We just talk about maybe there's problems that somebody's got or whatever's going on in people's lives. I've met some amazing people, just some absolutely incredible people in the pool. And one guy, Carl Botcher, he was an air ambulance helicopter pilot. He was also to a Green Beret. So the opportunity to train with him, and he was just a real motivator, and he was a much, much stronger swimmer than I was. But just having him inspiring me, training with this guy he's a Green Beret operator, commando. That experience in itself was amazing. And I've had guys that have been quite emotional who have had a cancer diagnosis or they've had a relationship breakdown and they need to talk. There's all these different things that come through the social aspect of
Mm.
swimming. But also too, you know, you mentioned having your head down and actually doing swimming for your own thoughts and your body and the breathing and the rhythm. And when you really get into a good rhythm and everything's just, it's like a machine just moving and flowing and you're just flowing. It's amazing. Just then you can clear a lot of thoughts and think about a lot of
Yeah.
things. Yeah.
It's quite meditative in the sense of that rhythm, stroke after stroke, breath after breath.
It can be. You can go into the flow state quite easily. And,
Mm.
I'll even go one more. And I was talking to someone about this recently, that I've only ever had it once, but I've had an out of body experience. And I don't know if anybody believes that or whatever, but I'm not joking. It felt like I was swimming above myself. I was outside and I could see myself swimming. It's only ever happened once. And you go into these flow states and it's amazing.
What a special experience. Yeah.
People probably, think, oh, that's a bit weird, but whatever.
No, I don't doubt it for a minute. I'm thinking about people who have got busy schedules. Do you recommend it for people with busy schedules?
Look, I recommend swimming to anybody of any age, of any schedule. Honestly, it's the best form of exercise you can do. It's low impact, it's aerobic, it's full body. One guy I used to swim with, he was 95. He'd come in and swim a kilometre every day, 20 laps. It's something you can do into your old age. It's not like running where your knees will pack it in or whatever. It's an activity you can do well into your old age. So yes, I highly recommend it for anybody.
So let's imagine somebody's listening to you. They're thinking, yeah, I used to swim, but it's been several years. I've forgotten how to swim, or maybe my stroke's just not so good. What would you say to encourage them to get back into the pool?
Turn up. What more can I say?
Could they get a coach that might help them? Are there people there that might, support?
Oh, look, you can join squads, things like that. But again, that can limit your time, particularly if you've got a young family, because they're at special times. So I'd just say, just turn up to the pool, jump in, go for it. Go for it.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, you've got to turn up. If you don't turn up, nothing's going to happen.
That's it. You're halfway there. If you get to the edge
90% of the battle. 90% of the battle's turning up.
True. So true. I'm not a great swimmer, but I enjoy it. I looked up YouTube to see, how do I improve my technique for swimming? It's about giving things a go, setting yourself a goal. Getting out there, get your cosy on and have a go.
And I follow a guy, it's called My Swim Pro, and his name's Fairs Kisby. Very good. And he's got a whiteboard and explains all these things. My Swim Pro.
Awesome. Okay, we'll put that in the show notes as well and link to that. All right. Well, thank you so much, Alex. It's been such a pleasure to hear your story. And just to have a conversation about sport and doing what you love. And so I really thank you for your time.